So back in August of 2011, we were on a couple of buddies of mine, co-workers, came out here to do some remote backpacking, fishing. We came down to this lake to set up camp, and then we're going to go head out to some of the other lakes. We set up our camp here and then headed out to find some of these other lakes, and circled around up here, up above behind us, which you can't see right now, but there's a big ridge line up here. We headed up the wrong direction. We went left instead of right, got lost up on this ridge line, and got royally lost to the point where we ended up hiking about 17 miles that day. It was nuts. We got quite lost. While we were up there, we were seeing bear sign. A buddy of mine, Ian, from Boston, was definitely afraid of bears, and so what he would do is he literally brought a pot and pan and would bang them together to the point of that it really started to irk us, like, stop knocking these pot and pans together. We were all armed, we're good to go. Yes, there's bear up here, but they avoid humans like the plague for the most part. So you put the pot and pans away, but as we're traversing this area and getting completely lost, we're seeing bear sign, and we were trying to figure out how to get back to not just where our camp was, but maybe find some of these other lakes, at least find the trail back to our original camp spot. After hiking all day, about 17 miles, running out of water, really low in water, and arguing with each other and all that, we finally find this other lake, the original lake we're supposed to be looking for. But by that time it was dark. It was getting dark, and so we had a couple mile hike back to this spot we're at now. And so that's what we did. We got on the trail, we made our way back here, and finished after getting back here. We set up our camp a little bit better. We built the fire, cooked our food. But let me backtrack a little bit. While we were up there, we were being really loud up on this ridge line. We're arguing with each other, and this all plays a role into why I think we experienced this two-night encounter out here at this location right here we're at now. We were being very obnoxious up there, loud. People don't go up on that ridge line. We're way off trail, so I think that plays a huge role. Plus, making all these weird noises. We're up there, urinating, when we had to go use the restroom and all that. We left a lot of scent up there. We, I think, provoked something. And so let me get into what transpired the first night. We get back to camp. Finally, after traversing this area and finding the right trail, we get back here to this camp. And, like I said, we build a fire, we cook our food, we talk about our day's next plans, which lakes we're going to go to. Now that we know where the trail's at, how to find these different lakes, we're going to make our way to these other areas tomorrow. But so we build our fire, eat our food, go to bed about 11:30 at night, roughly about 11:30 at night. We have our camp set up here. We have 3 tents. Actually, right where you got this camera right here, right now, is fairly close to where Ian had his original tent. I was behind him, and my buddy Mitch was off to the right. So kind of a triangle formation, Mitch being closer to the lake. And that's important, as I'm going to describe here. Go to bed. About 1:32 in the morning, we wake up, or I wake up to what I hear sounds like consistent rock clanking sounds coming down this trail, coming from this direction anyways. Getting closer and closer, probably 75 yards away, but getting closer and closer and closer. Consistent. And my tent's back here, Mitch is over here, Ian's here. Ian's snoring away. Mitch wakes up and goes, "Hey Shane, do you hear that?" And I said, "Yeah, I hear that." And he said, "What do you think it is?" And I said, "I have no idea. It sounds like rocks being, smashed together, clanked together." And as he's, we're going through the motions, listening, we're trying to rationalize what is going on here. What are we hearing? Could it be antlers? Is it elk? Is it deer? All of that stuff. Didn't make sense. Well, after a couple of minutes of this, coming closer and closer to us, it stops. And then right behind me, up in this area up here, we start hearing what sounds like sticks being broken, something bipedal, possibly. That wasn't really registering with me at the time. I'm thinking, oh, we got elk, we have bear, something moving to this area, but it's breaking sticks, making a lot of noise out here. It was nuts. Just something big moving to this area. So after a couple of minutes of hearing something walk around our camp, it stops. And then I hear what I think is percussive, you know, some sort of knock. But I couldn't be sure. I really couldn't be sure. Well, after that, a couple of minutes go by and it's kind of quiet. And then I hear that rock clank sound start up again. But it's moving away. It's moving away to the point where eventually it just dissipates and I don't hear it anymore. And Mitch and I are talking. Ian's still snoring away here. Mitch and I are talking and he's going, you know, I guess it's gone or whatever. So we go to sleep. We have a plan for the next day. We're gonna go hit the lakes we were supposed to fish originally. And so the next morning we wake up, we talk to Ian. Ian didn't hear anything. He was, you know, obviously snoring away. And we do, in fact, make our breakfast and then head off down the trail, the right direction this time. We didn't get lost. We actually made it to our quota, our lakes that we were supposed to be fishing. And we fished all day. We hit 2 different lakes that day, maybe 3, I think. And caught a ton of brook trout and rainbows. Came back to camp here after a long day, eating blueberries and stuff along the way, because up here there's a ton of blueberries in the month of August. Tons of food to eat. That was great. We collected those and ate them. Brought the trout back. We made a fantastic meal that night, putting the trout on flat rocks and cooking them that way with a little bit of salt and pepper and a little bit of lemon. And same sort of MO as the previous night. You know, with our goal of being out here 3 to 4 nights, and now we're on our second, you know, night. Obviously, going to go into the next day and go hit a couple of different other lakes out here. Same thing. We go to bed about 11:30. Ian, who's definitely afraid of bears, you know, we did see some bear sign, bear scat stuff, so he typically would build a huge fire. So the second night, the fire was even bigger, which was off in this direction. He built this humongous, obnoxious, ridiculous looking fire. I told him, knock it off. You know, it is fire season. You can't be doing that out here. We had some rain. That month we had some rain, but it was still fairly dry. But he built this big fire up, hoping it would burn all night, which it burnt quite well. But we go to bed. After he gets this little fire fix done, we go to bed about the same time, 11:30, maybe a little bit closer to midnight. You know, once again with plans to go out the next day and go fishing again. So 1:30, 2 in the morning, the second night, once again, I hear that same sound. Sounds like rocks coming down the trail, coming from this direction over here. My buddy Mitch is awake again. He goes, hey, it's back. And I said, I know, I can hear it. And we're whispering. Ian, over here, in this general area, was in his tent snoring away. He didn't hear anything. We're whispering, it's back. Whatever it is back. And so, as it's getting closer and closer, I'm thinking, what can this be? This is not an elk. This is not a deer. This isn't, I mean, what could it be? Is there somebody out here messing with us? I mean, which I found ridiculous. And then it stopped. Once again, it got really close to camp and stopped. And then up behind us, once again, you hear the cracking and breaking of branches. But this time, it escalated. It was much louder this time around. It was breaking stuff. I couldn't tell at the time if it was, whatever it was breaking branches off the trees or stepping on them. It was just so loud. It sounded like an elephant going through the woods. Mitch is kind of going, whoa, crap, what is this? And I'm thinking the same thing, what is going on here? And Ian, once again, is still snoring away. He doesn't hear this. I can't believe it. I'm like, Ian's got to be awake. He's not. Well, after a couple of minutes, you know, Mitch is over here going, hey, I heard something off to my left. And I'm thinking, well, I'm hearing something off to my right. So I'm thinking, is there 2 of whatever this is out here? And then it stops and there's silence. And then right behind me, up the hill here, 5 really, really powerful percussives, really powerful wood knocks, what you may call power knocks. Bam, 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 bam. The thing was, it echoed in this little valley here. It echoed around this area tremendously. That was freaky by itself. The sheer power of the knocks was freaky. What really freaked me out was that in my tent, underneath my tent, I mean, literally I'm on my back, my heart's in my head, and I can feel the vibration of these knocks. They were so powerful, tremendously powerful. I literally was paralyzed with fear. I don't mind saying that. I was paralyzed with fear because I thought, what the frick? Whatever this is came back. And don't get me wrong, at this time I'm thinking, could this be what I think it is? I mean, I'm not going to lie about that. I thought, could it be? What could be the tree like that? Now, like I mentioned before, the substrate up here, it's kind of hollow. So I mean, you can come down the trail and feel footsteps, or you can hear them, the hollowness, because of the root systems up here. But this was so powerful, I mean, you could just feel the complete vibration, and it freaked us out. Well, Ian, guess what? Ian's now awake. Ian, the guy that's been snoring the last 2 nights, is now awake. And he's freaking out. He goes, what is this? And I said, shut up, shut up. You know, and right after that, back here once again, I hear something come through the trees up high. And it's just hitting branches. And then thud, right next to my buddy Mitch's tent, over here closest to the lake. And at that time, it was a little wetter. It was a little more mud over there. And you hear the thud. When it hit the ground, I knew instantly what it was. Mitch knew what it was. And Mitch goes, hey, you know what that was? And I said, yeah, that was a rock. He goes, yeah, that was a rock. So I knew that something had tossed a rock from behind us down here and hit the ground. Right next to my buddy's tent. You just missed it. A little bit smaller than a softball, but really close to a softball-sized rock. Haven't discovered it the next day. Well, right then I was pretty confident what we were dealing with, based on the years of research I've done and people I've talked to, and you know, never had anything like that happen in my life. But not only did we have the knocks that time, the movement, and a lot of it sounded bipedal. Couldn't be completely sure, but. And then that rock came into camp. Ian's now awake. Ian is freaking out. He's completely beside himself. And I had done something stupid. I'd given Ian a 9mm during the day to calm his nerves. Said, hey, no more pots and pans, all that junk. Here's a gun, you know. After all this stuff happened, and he was freaking out. I mean, he's a city boy. He's from Boston. He's never really camped. He's done any fishing he's done has been river fishing, not high mountain lake fishing. So I thought, well, shoot, I need to get that gun away from him. And so I'm contemplating, well, what do I do? What do I do? Well, I have to get out of my tent. And I really did not want to do that. I remember being in my tent at one point, paralyzed with fear. And I don't think people realize what fear can do to you. You know, there's a lot of terms nowadays people throw around as far as being zapped or sizzled or infrasound, all that. And maybe that stuff's real. I was just paralyzed with fear. But I walked myself out of it. I calmed my breathing down, and I walked myself out of it going, well, you're still alive, nothing's happened to you, and whatever this is, if it wanted to hurt you, it would have done it by now. So I calmed myself down. I said, you need to get that gun away from me, and you need to get out of your tent. So I sit up on my knees and unzip my tent. The fire's still going. The fire was still going. It wasn't raging, but it was still going. And up behind in this direction over here, I'm looking around. I didn't want to get out of my tent, but I knew I had to. I needed to calm Ian down. He was a buddy of mine. I wanted to calm down, one, and two, I wanted to get the gun away from him. And so I unzipped my tent. I don't remember how loud it was, but I know I just went zip. And I'm peering around from left to right, trying to make sure I didn't see anything. And just when I was just about to step out of my tent, I noticed movement almost to my 12 o'clock. And what I see is something standing behind a tree, but swaying back and forth. I see a hand, an arm, a shoulder, and every once in a while, a head. And it's just doing this. And it looks massive. It looks absolutely massive. Freaked me out. It freaked me out. And I'm looking at this thing. It seemed like an eternity. And it wasn't. It was maybe a few seconds, you know, but it's just swaying back and forth. And right there in my head, I remember thinking, God, they are real. Holy crap. They're real. I mean, I'll never forget that moment. I'll never forget that moment when I saw things swaying back and forth, 2 in the morning. I was scared, but there was a little bit of awe in my brain going. I mean, anyways, as I'm watching this thing. I don't know if it saw me or heard the tent unzip or whatever, but it just took its arm down, went down by its side, it peeled around and walked up the trail or off trail, and it was gone.
So this is the spot?
This is the location right here. Now it's a lot different. You didn't have all these cut up trees on the ground. You didn't have this fire pit so big. We actually made the original fire pit here back in 2011. And then, with all the tree fall, the forestry does come in and clean this up. But yeah, this is the...
Does it kind of creep you out being here at all, or not really?
Not anymore. It used to.
Sure.
It really did. It used to. Not anymore. It's, I made my peace with it.
Right.
It would stand back here, and I could see it. I mean, its head was up there, and it was just, I couldn't even see this part of it till it moved out. Just doing this. Just swaying back and forth, and I just locked eyes on it. And I don't know if it heard my zip or saw me or what, but then it just gone. Ian, at this time, was quiet. Mitch was quiet. I could hear Mitch breathing heavily, but he was quiet, and they were quiet. And I watched this thing walk off, and I sat there, and I just zipped my tent up, and I just sat down, and it was just quiet. I mean, listen right now. It was even quieter than that night. It was that quiet. You could hear a pin drop. Like I could hear some insects or something off in this direction. It was so quiet. Windless night. And I could hear this thing walk off. And I sat back, and I don't know why I sat back. It was kind of a thing, like I knew that it was done. I knew that it was it. In my head. I don't know if I've ever shared that before. I haven't even thought about that till now. But I just kind of knew that when it walked away, that was it. Maybe, and I didn't know if I was right or wrong, but in my head I thought, okay. Well, I didn't feel the pull to go get the gun from Ian. I just felt like sitting there and soaking it in and hoping that it didn't come back, honestly. And everybody was quiet. Well, as soon as daylight hit, we collectively, without speaking, packed up our camp and headed out of here. And that was it. We headed home, almost quiet the whole time. We did talk a little bit. I didn't tell those guys what I saw. At that time, later on, they found out. But I never spoke about it during the drive home. I was still in shock because I thought, I've been at this for years. California, Oregon, and Washington. I've been at this for years. I tried everything that I was told to do, or everything I thought I was to do. And here I'm on an area where I'm out kind of remote. I'm fishing. I'm not doing anything Bigfooty, other than we can argue about points of chopping firewood. It may sound like a knock, and then what we're doing up on the hill, but I wasn't doing any yells, or none of us were. Yes, I was interested in Sasquatch, but it just blew my mind that 3 guys out here doing our thing just had a 2-night experience with Sasquatch. Maybe more than one, who knows? That's a whole nother argument or point, but that right there solidified to me that these suckers are real. They're real. They're real. Absolutely real. 100%. Blew my freaking mind. And really launched me into what I'm doing now with the Olympic project, period. And launched me into going, okay, some of your methods that you thought were good methods, or ideas, I threw them out the window. I realized that I had no idea what I was doing, and I don't mind saying that. I had no idea what I was doing. And not that I do now, but I think I have a better grasp of the situation and the circumstances, and possibly why we had a 2-night experience with Sasquatch, or Sasquatches. Mind-blowing, and this is a very special area. It's got everything you need out here. I mean, I've done a lot of research on this area, and I was talking with you guys earlier, Eli and Alex, about why I think this occurred, but also the historical aspect of this. I didn't know I was walking into a hornet's nest. This area out here, it's just like that. It's one of those areas when it's going on, and there's historical stuff out here. You're not going to see a lot of these reports in the BFRO. You'll find these reports, as I have, on AR-15, gun forums. You'll find them on hammock forums, on hiking forums, camping forums. Nothing to do with anything Bigfoot Bigfoot forum. You'll find them on everyday people doing everyday thing forums, you know? And it blew my mind that I walked into this without knowing that I was possibly walking into one of the most amazing areas, and definitely one of the most amazing experiences I ever had, but not doing anything research-wise. So that really explained a lot to me and totally shifted my direction in life. Not just in life, but also within my research. And so here we are tonight, up here, and I'm really happy you guys came up here, really happy. We're getting destroyed by mosquitoes, I know. Absolutely eaten alive by mosquitoes, but I wouldn't trade this for the world. I wouldn't trade it for the world, having you guys up here, just to even be here. I'm sure nothing will happen, you never know, but just getting to experience my excitement in this is a really special area to me for a lot of reasons. I've been up here many times, many times. Nothing's ever happened again. But I've been up here before, and we've had some odd experiences, and the surrounding lakes up here. There's some really cool stuff that's transpired over the years.